When will machines actually outsmart us? Think about that for a second. It's pretty much the ultimate question of our era, right? I mean, this is a question that used to belong purely to late-night sci-fi movies, but has now landed squarely on the desks of the world's leading scientists, philosophers, and policymakers. Seriously, when are we going to share our planet with an intelligence that's greater than our own? 2048. Yep, 2048. That is the median year. A major survey of leading experts predicts that high-level machine intelligence will arrive. Let that sink in. That's less than 25 years from now. In the grand scheme of evolutionary history, that is literally just a blink of an eye. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at an absolutely dramatic collision course between human biology and artificial intelligence. We are talking about a potential phase transition in the very nature of evolution itself. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the expert consensus on AI timelines. Second, the biomedical revolution that's extending the human lifespan. Third, the wild frontier of evolvable AI. Fourth, our new evolutionary horizon. And finally, the ethical guardrails we're going to need for human-AI symbiosis. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Predicting High-Level AI. To have a really meaningful discussion here, we need to nail down a precise definition. High-level machine intelligence, or HLMI, is defined in the scientific literature as an AI that can carry out most human professions at least as well as a typical human. Now, to be clear, we aren't just talking about an AI that can spit out a cool poem or beat you at chess. We're talking about systems that can match human cognitive performance across the board, the whole shebang, from complex scientific research right down to long-term strategic planning. So researchers Vincent Muller and Nick Bostrom ran this incredibly comprehensive survey of expert opinion, and a fascinating and honestly somewhat alarming timeline emerged. When experts were asked when there'd be a 10% probability of reaching HMI, the median answers landed between 2023 and 2028. For a 50% probability, basically a coin toss, experts pointed to the years 2040 to 2050. Which, by the way, aligns perfectly with those popular predictions of a 2045 singularity. And for a 90% probability, the consensus was the year 2075. Now, looking at the actual survey data here, it brilliantly illustrates the urgency of all this. The data reveals something even more striking. The experts actually expect that once we hit that high-level machine intelligence threshold, the jump to superintelligence, meaning machines that vastly outperform humans in every conceivable domain, could happen in less than 30 years. So this intelligence explosion we hear about, it's a fast-approaching curve for sure. Which brings us to Section 2, AI and the Biomedicine Revolution. What's absolutely fascinating here is how AI is already sparking a revolution by essentially hacking human biology. According to the American Journal of Biomedical Science and Research, we are right in the middle of a massive convergence. Generative AI is putting drug discovery on fast forward. Our wearables are constantly feeding us continuous digital biomarkers. We even have senolytics entering clinical trials. These are interventions aimed specifically at going in and clearing out aging cells. And on top of that, epigenetic clocks are now accurately predicting mortality and biological aging, completely independent of your actual chronological age. So the crucial point here is exactly what this means for us. Precision longevity is totally moving out of the realm of science fiction. It is a nascent clinical reality right now. We're shifting from a medical system that just reacts when you get sick to one of proactive health span extension. Accelerated biological aging is becoming something we can actually modify, treat, and potentially even reverse using these AI-driven therapeutics. Humans are actively upgrading our biological baseline. Let's pivot over to Section 3, Evolvable AI and Control Risks. Now, researchers are warning us about this incoming third epoch of artificial intelligence, which focuses on intelligence through evolution. This is known as Evolvable AI, or EAI. Listen, this isn't just standard machine learning where humans carefully curate the data. Not at all. These are AI systems whose very components, learning rules, and underlying code undergo actual Darwinian evolution. Imagine an AI that borrows and writes completely new computer code to improve its own fitness. It's a lot like how bacteria shared genes to build resistance to antibiotics. The literature gives us two completely distinct pathways for how this evolution might play out. On the one hand, we have the breeder scenario. Think of it like human farmers breeding crops. In this scenario, humans completely control the fitness criteria and the reproduction. It's safe, but, only if we can actually maintain that control. On the other hand, we have the ecosystem scenario. Here, the selection pressures come from an open environment. The AI replicates selfishly without any strict human intent guiding it. And biology tells us that in an uncontrolled ecosystem, selfish replication reliably gives rise to deception, parasitism, and manipulation, simply because those traits help you survive. Wild stuff. Moving right along to Section 4, a new evolutionary horizon. The physicist Max Tegmark has this incredibly useful way to think about all of this. He breaks it down into steps. Step 1 is Life 1.0. That's biological evolution, where both our physical hardware and our internal software evolve super slowly across generations through genetics. Then, Step 2 is Life 2.0. That's human culture. We maintain our biological hardware, sure, but we can update our software really rapidly through learning and passing down knowledge. And then, Step 3 is Life 3.0, artificial general intelligence. This is an entity capable of redesigning both its hardware and its software within its own lifetime. So evolvable AI essentially marks a massive transition to post-biological evolution, operating at a speed millions of times faster than natural selection. So think about this intersection for a minute. When humans, who are striving for biological longevity, meet machines that are capable of self-directed evolution, we hit the ultimate crossroads. Is this convergence going to result in a mutually beneficial symbiosis, like a hybrid ecosystem that leverages the intuitive creativity of humans along with the systematic processing power of AI? Or will it lead to existential dominance, where a superintelligent entity just outcompetes biological life entirely? The scientific consensus suggests the outcome really isn't predetermined. It depends entirely on how we choose to shape it today. And that naturally leads us into Section 5, Ethics for AI Symbiosis. So how do we actually navigate this? Well, researchers in the journal Data and Policy propose that we might need to look outside our traditional Western ethical models. They suggest an African ethical framework known as Afro-communitarianism. Basically, this is a personhood-based relational ethic. It argues that an action is only right if it contributes to the common good, while simultaneously adding moral excellence to the individuals involved. It heavily prioritizes complementary relationships over things like dominance and individual power. If we apply that framework, we get some really clear, practical guardrails. First, we've got to prevent the AIification of humans, meaning we have to make sure we don't just become these hyper-intelligent moral machines that are totally devoid of actual humanity. Second, we have to ensure superintelligent AI doesn't start treating humans as mere moral patients that just need to be managed or taken care of. Third, we've absolutely got to embed these ethics proactively, right now, rather than fighting some reactionary rearguard action after superintelligence is already here. Ultimately, the goal is actively fostering a complementary ecosystem. Now, I know it is super easy to brush all this off. The arrival of superintelligence, human biological reprogramming, is just some distant sci-fi fantasy. But consider this quote from Lord Rutherford. He was one of the absolute pioneers of nuclear physics. Back in 1933, he publicly stated that expecting to get power from atomic transformation was, quote, moonshine. Nonsense, right? Well, less than 24 hours after he said that, Leo Szilard literally conceived the nuclear chain reaction. The point is, the impossible can become a global reality pretty much overnight. We are standing right at the threshold of a major evolutionary transition. We are no longer just passive subjects of natural selection. We are becoming its architects. We have the data, we can see the timelines, and we absolutely know the risks of an unaligned ecosystem. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. As biological and artificial intelligence converge, how will you help shape Life 3.0? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you next time.